there are a lot of cloud architectures in use now, but the preference is more towards a hybrid cloud deployments. And the reasons for this are quite wide ranging, from need to retain legacy and sensitive workload on the premises, software licensing issues, which we all know about, lack of sufficient cloud management skills itself. Enterprises are struggling with talent. And so we are going to look in this discussion today on how CIOs are leveraging hybrid cloud for better resource utilization and driving application modernization. So I'd like to start with Mr. Grover. So you have been doing a lot of IT modernization within Indian Oil. And so what are the challenges in deploying a hybrid cloud architecture for you?
Let me start with my company, since you asked a direct question. Indian Oil, as we know, has about 60,000 customer touch points where we have customers coming to us. And only in LPG, we have more than 14,000 customers who visit various places. So over a period of time, Indian Oil, in its digital journey, has been driving more and more benefits to these customers. So there has been a need, as we grow in this journey, to improve and give more and more facilities and better experience to these customers. And as a large PSU, as you know, we handle large amount of data. It's about 50% of the oil and gas sector which we handle. And the data is extremely sensitive, from Aadhaar cards to bank accounts to whatever PDB can qualify lies with us. So perennially, it has been an on-prem data handling company for us. And we have very nice data centers with all the facilities built into it, which we are looking at it. But as I said, as we are growing into the digital journey, we are experiencing a kind of a need where we like to have a mix of data, which after critical data, which cannot be put in public or private cloud, and some of them can go there. For certain activities, we like to lift and shift the data to hybrid cloud, so that we are able to use the compute utilization out there. So in this regard, with the new IT policy in place, where we are looking at cloud first policy, we have taken a strategic call to use the hybrid cloud. More so in our digital journey, where we lead it from. And we have put up a data lake out there on-prem currently. But there will be situations as I move on where I will need to put a lot of computing power into my system. And I may need to scale or hyperscale at some period of time. So there the conditions and the strategizing situation is that we will be using the the hybrid cloud situations. And this is a decision taken by us, and we are moving towards working towards it. And in this regard, as you rightly said, the manpower crunch, make them how to use this situation in our system will be the one which will be also working around with that. So these are the initial thoughts on this. Then as we move on, we'll talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Grover. I think so. You have nicely put it that being a large organization, that having taken such a strategic decision to move to a hybrid cloud architecture in itself, signals to the rest of the industry about the importance of this kind of architecture. So Ajay, maybe I'd like you to share, what is your experience? Are you using a hybrid cloud architecture, or you are completely on cloud, or how are you doing?
No, we are on the hybrid. So since we are a manufacturing company as well as a sales oriented company and as well as a customer service. So what we have done is that, the manufacturing side, we are still working on the on-prem because
latency.
The takt time is too high, right? So take an example, our refrigerator is produced in 7 seconds. So one refrigerator is out of production in 7 seconds. And TV takes around 4 seconds to produce. Wow. So we can't afford even a 10 minutes or 15 minutes of downtime there, right? And there are a lot of data which is generated from the production facility, right? So a lot of analytics are being done on that. So it's actually the real time. So we tried, for migrating one particular line of aircon on the cloud, but it was not success. But yes, we have roughly around 3,600 users. So we all migrated them to the VDI, and we use Microsoft Azure, and all our customers, all our users are actually on the cloud today on the VDI. Then on the marketing front, we started using the GCP, which is the Google platform. And on the service side, we have roughly around 50 million customer as of today. And every month we add around 3.5 lakh of a customer. So that particular portion we are planning to, our CRM part will planning to shift onto the cloud. That is our plan. So, but yes, as I told you that manufacturing, it seems too early stage to go for a cloud because due to, so many reasons are there.
Particularly latency.
Yes.
So I'll ask Ashish to comment a little bit later about that. So, but I want to first ask you also, Mr. Suresh Kumar. So now you are from an industry where you are in, you hold a lot of confidential data and information. Plus, you have a very large workforce which is distributed. So, what is the kind of architecture you're using? Are you using a hybrid cloud, or are you completely on cloud, or still on-prem?
So we have actually, a lot of confidential business data of very large organizations. I know many of the organizations in this room itself are our clients, and we have their financial information. We have their, the information which could affect their stock market prices, for example. So it's our responsibility to ensure that everything we have, the client confidential information, is treated with utmost, precautions, and some of those data which are highly confidential, we are still keeping in-house. But having said that, we started our cloud journey, quite some time back with smaller applications which could be easy, make life easy for our people to perform their day-to-day work. And lately, our focus has been to improve our client experience. So our clients, how do they access the resources and the services which we are providing to them. And on this, we started with Salesforce implementation, where we are giving our clients complete access to their account information. So all that is on cloud. So that's all on cloud. And so focus on some of the people experience and client experience on cloud, but keep the the confidential business information in-house. So we are using hybrid model.
You're using a hybrid model.
Yeah.
So, given that all three of you are using a hybrid model, so the one question I wanted to ask you was, and I think Mr. Grover mentioned, that we are looking at lift and shift. So, is lift and shift an initial strategy, or it is the strategy?
I think it will be the strategy.
Okay.
Okay, because as I mentioned, I will be barred to go to completely on cloud. Completely, I am barred by the critical data infrastructure companies not to take my data out. I can't even take it for my analysis also. So, but there are situations and there will be data which can be lifted and shifted there, and that will be the strategy, because everything will not be able to do whatever compute you want to do in future, whatever analytics you want to do in future, possibly will not be able to do on-prem kind of situations, especially for for example, the crude assessment when the tenders come out. It's a very hugely confidential information, but it uses so much of space and so much of VMs are required to do that we do it on a cloud and take it back and then take it forward. So lift and shift will be the strategy, I think, which we are going to follow. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Ajay, what about you? I mean, is it yours lift and shift, or you're developing cloud native applications or services?
No, it is lift and shift only, because as I told you, all applications can't be moved to cloud. That
Right.
is for sure. So strategically we are doing, right, which are not basically the business critical applications. Like I'll give an example. We just started doing one particular pilot project, right? That for sure we can't do on-prem, because what we are doing is that we are observing the customer experience at the store. Say, take an example, you are my customer, you went to our store.
You walk into the store.
Right, and you brought a product. Take an example, you brought a product, but you are spending time on the refrigerator or you are spending a time on the fridge. Now the sales team wants to have the analysis that Giri is going to definitely buy if you spend more than 5-10 minutes in that particular area. Now what we are doing is that we are getting that all information through the web, right, over the cams, and doing the analysis on that, observing the customer behavior. But that can't be done on-prem. You need to have a cloud for that, where sometimes if you want to scale up because it depends generally how many customers come on which day, right? So generally we have lot of footfall over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
And festival times.
Right. So that is the time when you actually you should go for a cloud.
Okay. Yeah, interesting application that you are thinking of doing. This completely
Is
novel.
with our experience also, we are looking at a hyper personalization of my retail customers who are visiting our petrol stations. So there, the loyalty points which they earn out of that, the earning and burning and giving them schemes on the fly is something which is definitely going to go on cloud, because that is the kind of compute and the real power. We have about 35,000 such ROs working, which the number will go up to 52,000 in future. So if you have to run certain on-the-fly schemes of this nature, they will all come through the cloud environment, not on the on-prem. Yeah.
So Ashish, I want to ask you, so how do you help customers, migrate their legacy applications to a modern operating environment? I mean, do you provide any kind of assistance, either when they are doing lift and shift, or help them convert to a more cloud native kind of,
Okay.
application?
Okay, everybody can, yeah,
Yeah.
it's working, yeah, awesome. So, as a organization, last 3 years, we are very heavily investing into engineering platform. When we say engineering platform, what we make sure that we align with all the objectives of our customers when they use cloud. Business is not going to drive cloud, cloud is going to drive business. And I think that's what the leaders are talking about. Around 10 years back, when I used to talk to my CEOs and everybody, and I tell them that, boss, we have to create something because hybrid is going to be the future. That they used to tell me, Ashish, you are stupid. And now I think I have proved that I'm not stupid anymore. So the value chain, what we bring to the customer is, we have an orchestration layer, whether you're on AWS, whether you're on Azure, whether on GCP, whether you are on VMware, exactly, and exactly on Hyper-V, or in future the TrueScale or the Dell Apex or HP GreenLake. Everybody wants to get into this cloud era, and we are the one who is going to enable the ecosystem for our customers. That is where we are hitting hard. And rest of the piece, our Mukesh bhai will change somewhere a policy and will give us something, a yield for us. Because we want to become the jaguar, will sit on the tree. And one day when the opportunity will come, our leaders will drive the game. So I have a full trust on Jio guys and the Reliance game, and we are game in it. And slowly, gradually, I know that we are not going to acquire 100% of the market share. And everybody agrees to that. Even though, look at the two competitions sitting across, right? Nobody's going to acquire the 100%. We'll be happy with 4-5%. We'll be $1 billion company anyways.
So I like your optimism. and yes, the gentlemen from Jio are there, and they're listening to you. My next question is that when you do hybrid, so obviously you are operating two environments. You've got an environment on-prem, you've got an environment in the cloud. So what are the challenges in actually managing this kind of an environment? Because it requires completely different ways of looking at it. How do you optimize? How do you automate? How do you do things?
That is what missing.
Or is it all
So,
manual?
in-house, we don't have any problem. So, in-house, we are managing. But on the cloud, yes, we prefer to go for outsourcing. So, there are some SLAs, there are some uptime commitments. So, based on that, we are fixed the model with the service providers.
But that's on consumption side. But
Yeah.
optimization, how do you do? Because typically you can burst into the cloud, then suddenly you discover whatever budget you are fixed is gone.
So budget is also there, but the thing is that we do generally keep on, team keeps on monitoring, right, the utilization, and then they try to optimize it, not only the, at the infrastructure side, but at the application side. They always keep on tuning the application to reduce the CPUs, to reduce the memory. So that keeps on happening.
Okay, so right now it's more people and skill
Yeah.
driven.
People and skill driven. At least in our organization currently, it's that only.
So what about Suresh in your organization? How?
So our focus is mainly for specific applications we'll have some fixed budgets, but if it is comes to when it comes to customer centric, client centric, so we have kind of unlimited budget for those areas, and we like to go it whatever max is utilized. So depending upon
So it depends on the charge code.
events, some events, it is for you have to make sure that the client experience is really great. So for anything for that. And I agree with Ajay. I think getting the right resources for in-house and cloud is difficult. So in-house we traditionally have been having resources, but getting good cloud technical resources is still challenge.
Mr. Grover, what are your thoughts? I mean, now
Our
that
thoughts
you're
are
going
very
for
clear,
hybrid.
like customer-centric initiatives. One, that whatever goes to clouds, as far as budgets are concerned, that is not an issue, point number one. We will be very clear what goes there and what doesn't. And the manpower is placed which is skilled, and the strategizing which is needed to be done is done by us. And as far as some of the things, as he was mentioning in terms of the customer experience, which is the retail side of the business, that doesn't come into the budgeting scenario at all, because that is where my bread and butter lies, the endpoint customer experience. And that will stay, and it will be based on what we get out of the customers and how we add to the bottom lines there. Ultimately, whatever we do as where we work from is whatever we are doing as an initiative or wherever usages we are putting, but actually figuring out the tangible and the intangible benefits which are coming to the company in terms of the bottom line and top line. And every initiative actually is figured by my finance team to see how it has brought a delta difference in what I started with. So with that in mind, if my difference is always positive, I'm ready to go for it. Yeah.
Very good. I think it's it's also gives a new insight into public sector organizations. We all always used to think P&L was not important. So you could do initiatives. So I think it's a very important change that you have highlighted. So Ashish, I want to ask you this question. So typically when we talk to CIOs and we talk about cloud models, and the concern is always this, that we imagined that our budget or our spending was going to be X, but I think somebody mentioned today that whatever 3 years worth of stuff we have consumed in 1 year, now what am I going to do next? So how do you help people manage this effectively?
So, I think that's a tough question, but I'll tackle it in a different way. I personally believe, nobody's sentiments I'm going to hurt. AWS is going to die in India. And Azure, GCP, going to feel the heat very soon. Because business dynamics are going to change in India. We'll be like, so these guys are going to be the Americans who's sitting in Afghanistan, and now the players are in India are going to be well-established player, and the Afghanistanis and the Talibanis will give a hit boom to these Americans. That's what I personally feel. And when it comes to how are we going to tackle the customers, I think it's already done. Look at the customers. They are most of the intelligent people. They have taken those decisions and primarily running their shows.
No, that's true. But what I'm asking specifically is that how are you helping?
Yeah. I'm coming to that. So there is no right or there is no wrong in between how they're going to save their cost. There are methods. There are platforms which companies are adapting. Yes, obviously the billing is one of the biggest problem, because most of the CIO look at the AWS bill and say, oh, क्या लिखा है इसमें? मेरे को समझ नहीं आया. And they put off and they send to finance team and they start billing it. I think that's what I have seen in majority of the cases. Bill समझ नहीं आता उनका मेरे को. $1000 के बिल में $800 तो वो खाली अपने bandwidth का cost भेज देते हैं. और that's what I personally feel again. These typical, when you go to AWS, you deploy your application on AWS, Azure and GCP. When you move out it's more like you are getting into Hotel California. That you once get in, you can't get out. And that is where we kind of companies are building up solutions. What we are making sure that we have a platform which is like hey, I'm sure everybody, majority of you been to Heathrow Airport, right? It's one of those airports which is well connected. If you want to go to Korea, you can fly there. The flight is there probably next few hours. If you go to America, में 5-6 airports में जाना है तो वहाँ चले जाओ. A very similar digital platform what we have developed. What we are making sure whenever you are moving from AWS to Azure to GCP, to run your front end, run it, but keep your back end within the data centers. And that is the agility or flexibility you will bring with Web Werks. So I'm sure you have deployed Nutanix clusters and all of that. We in fact orchestrate that as well. So what we are making sure that you do whatever you want to do with hyperscaler. I'm not saying they are bad, they are good. They are one of the brilliant people in the world. But I suddenly feel India is a very different market to tackle. People can come, test their waters, but they have to go back bankrupt.
And
The message is very clear.
okay, but just explain to us specifically. I mean, you made these statements that so how is Web Werks specifically going to do things differently? Which is going to, I mean, can you say something about that?
Yeah. So, okay. So, you have a marketing initiative, right? हर पेट्रोल पंप पे आप जाके एनालिटिक्स कर रहे हो, looking at the user behavior, who's doing what and all of that, and it's a lot of data. He knows his scale, but majority of the customer don't know their scale. So what they do? They buy their VMs जिनको वो 30% यूज़ करते ही नहीं है, और फिर उस 30% जो यूज़ करते हैं उसके लिए एक पार्टनर रखा हुआ उन्होंने, वो MSP कहते हैं उसको, AWS वाले और Azure वाले, और फिर उस पार्टनर को भी वो लोग पे कर रहे हैं एडिशनली. What is the platform that we're bringing in is that whenever you need resources, system will automatically allocate your resources. Whenever you don't need them, will remove them. And the best part is whenever you are moving to Azure, AWS, आप जाओ कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन जो डेटा आप वहाँ पर रख रहे हो स्टोरेज में S3 और XYZ के अंदर, आप उसको अपने कोर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में रखो with our help, which gives you a zero egress cost. तो आप जाओ, वापस आओ, चलाओ, जो करना है आपको.
So I'm going to ask the only accountant in this panel to comment on this. Do you think it works like that? He seems to be a bit skeptical.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think, and it is just from my perspective, I don't think AWS and Azure are new to India. They are already there for several years. So his prediction, I'm not too sure. I find it unlikely that they will wind up in
Meet
next
Mukesh bhai
5
very
years
soon.
or whatever.
You will meet the Mukesh bhai very soon.
Yeah, let's see. We have, of course, all of us will be welcoming if there are Indian, Google or Indian Azure. Okay, but whether it will happen, it could be that there is a, Indian large player coming and offering similar services and all. But that doesn't mean that
No, sir. But you look at the count of the customers who are repatriating from the public cloud. I can give you in writing. There are out of 100 customers, 10 customers still are planning from come out of AWS. But unfortunately, they are so well architected in AWS, they will not be able to come out of it.
So I would say it is like you may have say multiple thumbs up and local drinks, Limca and all, but you will still have Coke and others, and people will have their own preferences. Okay, so it's not going to die down.
Coke को अपना वो Teams बंद करना पड़ा था. एक Teams drink भी आया था, वो बंद हो गया.
That's my comment.
Yeah, I think somebody had a question here. Yeah, so.
I think it actually depends, right? what he was saying, but I have a slightly different opinion. Like take an example in case of ourselves only. We are on Azure, right? And what deal we did the Microsoft is that we decided where to host. So it is hosted out of Pune, right? So now what we did with Microsoft, right, apart from a global licensing deal which happened in Korea. So currently 6 countries are running out of India, right? So VMs are same, time zones are different, right? So if I see LG as a global, so they say a huge cost.
Right.
So because on that VMs only India is not running. So when India shuts down at evening, the other country runs out of them. So 6 countries, support also is done by India only, right? So we hired the people. So we also bill back to Korea. You know, they bill to us, we also bill back on the resource front. So it actually depends. And I don't agree.
एक क्वेश्चन है मेरा,
हाँ जी.
और आप उस क्वेश्चन को आप बहुत अच्छी तरीके से आंसर कीजिएगा. आप STT में बैठे हुए हो जहाँ पर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एज्योर होस्टेड है, क्या वो आपसे बैंडविड्थ का पैसा नहीं लेता?
नहीं लेता, क्योंकि
किसने कहा नहीं लेता सर?
नहीं लेता ना.
सर इग्रेस का कॉस्ट है सर.
वो
सर इग्रेस का कॉस्ट है सर. That's the main money for him.
No, I don't agree to it because I will tell you, because the bandwidth, the network is a separate contract which we have done with Airtel, which we did with Singtel, right?
Sir, if you're on Azure, talk Azure. If you built on Nutanix, talk Nutanix. If you built on VMware, it's a private cloud setup. That's going to be a different conversation altogether. But egress will be there in your game. You can't remove S3.
So maybe you may be correct, but
I'm 100% correct. That's why day on day out butter sir.
Okay, so so let me put back the question to the CIO panel. You know, you've all seen the Web Werks presentation. You know, at the end of it, what are your expectations from a cloud service provider? What do you expect?
Expectation is that it should be good to the pocket. Point number one. I should be able to spend, there is a cost which is always in our mind when you start working around a project or an initiative, whether it is on-prem or on cloud when you want to do it. So there is an opportunity cost along with that which comes. When do you want that solution to come up? How good that solution needs to become up. So if we are, as we said in PSU, we are very conscious about these costs when we start looking at all such solutions and have an idea of next 5 years to 10 years how those costs will pan out. That is the reason why so much of we are so conscious about not really moving so much into the cloud. We have a cloud first policy put in place now. Certain solutions have gone to the cloud. Very large industry database of LPG, which we have done for the Ministry of Petroleum, we have done in the cloud with one of the SI. IOC BPC data entirely has been shifted there to be played and visualized by the Ministry and Petroleum. A lot of our custom of the solutions which are being used by entirely in the company are on cloud, like end-to-end project management suites or tender management suites will come. But again, as I said, what will make the things go for me will be the absolute right, optimal costs which it will incur to me. And I will definitely not like to incur 3 years cost into one. Definitely not.
Thank you. I think, as always, cost seems right up there.
नहीं वो इसलिए आया है क्योंकि पहले दिन पे 3 साल का पैसा ले लेता है भाई वो जेब से.
As I said, opportunity costs also to be seen.
Opportunity cost also to be seen.
Majority customers, you look at majority customers, majority players are done like that.
So my expectation from a good cloud service provider would be one who can talk to me and see my actual requirements, suggest that whether it is better to implement it on-prem or it is on cloud, and whether the cloud should be whatever, AWS, Google or Azure or Geo if the option is there. So whatever. Okay, so for me, again, I agree, of course, cost is important for every organization. So if it is, what is the best option? Because today, if I talk to Microsoft directly, they are going to tell me only Azure, Amazon only AWS. So cloud service provider and a cloud service provider who can do who has good engineering, solution team, who can help me in architecting my application. So that's my experience.
Thank you. I think we are running out of time, so if anybody wants to add one final comment, please do, and we can.
We go by an open tender situations. So whenever I need
L1,
something,
T1.
I'll actually put it there.
Right.
And we have the right line items to see and count what will matter to me. So, plus the right architect, he rightly says, the manpower within a company actually visualizes all such situations before I go for the RFP. So, they are supposed to be better than what I am trying to get from outside. So, they lead this show in our company. That's how we go for it.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful discussion. I think some very provocative points have been made. And so we are looking at the gentleman in the back of the room to now lead the show. But I wish, the Ashish and his, organization all luck in trying to change the situation.
No, we want to be in the situation. We are just, see, the only thing which I personally believe for last 2 years, and probably मेरी पूरी ज़िंदगी निकल गई इस चीज़ को बनाने में, मुझे पर्सनली लगता है कि जब तक आप कस्टमर्स के लिए आप रिलेवेंट नहीं हो ना, तब तक आप कुछ नहीं हो. अब उसको आप दुनिया आगे आपको कुछ भी बोलेगी, यू आर नॉट अ SI और somebody, what I still feel, the man said engineering, and that is what missing in the cloud industry today. If somebody is going to fill that lag, probably he'll win the game. That could be Mukesh bhai, that could be the Jeff Bezos bhai, anybody.
But why not Web Werks?
Web Werks is anyways. These are like tigers, lions. We are small, tendua boss, sitting on a tree somewhere. And we will win.
So thank you. And with that, we close this discussion. Thank you so much. To Ajay Rambal, Manish Grover, and Suresh Kumar for being in this part of this conversation. Thank you so much.